He's got the whole world
in his hands.
He's got the whole world
in his hands.
He's got the whole wide world. Whatever.
Why are we singing?
All right, let's talk about that. And Luna. And Luna. Yeah. I was asked yesterday, why am I so happy in the morning? Because I love Jesus. You.
Oh my heavens.
Anyway, so just think about this. This blows my mind. Just think about this. From the dawning of creation, okay, Adam and Eve breathing the same air we breathe. Like the air hasn't changed. I mean, it gets filtered out. But whatever's on the earth is on the earth forever. Like, the same dirt that Adam and Eve walked on, the same everything. It just gets recycled. God is like the ultimate recycler.
Yeah.
And it's the same sun, same everything. I mean, and all the people who've talked over the years, it's in the atmosphere, it's all over the place. Sound never stops. Now, we stop hearing it, but sound never stops. It's just crazy to me that everything that we ever need and ever want is on this planet. Even if you believe it's flat Earth or a round Earth, we know that this Earth is very special. Some people say, well, we feel really insignificant because how big the universe and how small we are. No, I think we're special. I think we're like the most specialist people in the universe.
Specialist?
Because,
specialist.
God, yes, there you go. I create words. God came here. He gave us his son. He made us in his image. And we're on this planet. And I think it's very special. I think we're like one of a kind. I think the hopeless thought is, well, we're just a small piece of the universe and nobody loves us. Yes, he does. I mean, he wouldn't have made this planet livable if it wasn't special. And it's just so awesome. We haven't even explored the whole Earth yet, let alone the universe, But it's cool because it says this, and we have to wrap our minds around this, as Christians especially, but the world has to wrap their mind around this, that you own nothing. We try to say, well, we own this land, we own this house, we own this car, we own this food, we own this, we've worked for this. It's not yours. You're just borrowing it. You're just using it. That's the blessing. When you put on your socks in the morning, that's a blessing. When you put pants on, that's a blessing, because whose is it really? It's God's pants and socks. It's God's house. I know. It's God's. Everything is God's. And it says here in Psalm 24, verse 1, the earth is the Lord's, and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. Everyone is God's. God made everyone. God made him for a purpose in the womb. They're in the womb, when they take their first breath, when they're living, even when they're dying, their spirit is God's. Everything is God's. So if everything is God's, and we acknowledge him as Lord, then he gives us so much more back, because then we become a child of God. And then we become heirs to his throne, and heirs to the world, and heir to everything he owns. We just got to be responsible. Now, I'm not an extreme environmentalist, okay? But I am an environmentalist to the point where we have to be responsible for the planet, because he gave it to us. Even in Genesis, he says, go and subdue the earth and use everything in it. And we are using it, hopefully wisely, hopefully with morals and ethics. Once we cross that line that we can think we can play with God, that's I don't like that line. But anything beyond that line, we can use for God's glory, for helping people, for not hurting people, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then sin creeps in, and then we use things to hurt people. God's creation to hurt people. Hopefully we're not doing that. But God's creation, everything in it is his. So if we just wrap our mind around that, we're going to be responsible for the air, responsible for things that we use, responsible for sharing our house and sharing our food and sharing our money and sharing our talents. We're going to be responsible because we know who owns it, and we're just borrowing it. We're just using it for his glory. It's a whole mind shift. So hopefully I encourage you today to just think about that. The school you go to, the gas you pump in your car, the car you use, the snow that's out there, everything is God's. So how are you using it? That's my challenge for you today. Think of how are you using it for God's glory, not for yours. I love you. Jesus loves you too. You have a great day and use that stuff for God.
Wow.
Jump back, kiss us out. Ha!
Wow.
All right, love you. Bye.